So, after scouring the internet and YouTube for, I don't know, probably about an hour, I have yet to see anybody take apart a NP246 out of a 99 GMC Suburban. As you can see, this one's a little bit different than the other 246s. I'm assuming those ones are older. And being a mechanic for about, say, 15 years, working at multiple shops, I still have yet to take any transfer case apart, so this will be my first one. Usually we just replace them with remans. So the first thing that I noticed after I got this on the bench is most of these bolts that hold the case together, they got the plastic caps on them, and underneath they're all rotted out, so those will have to take apart all, or remove all these plastic caps and go from there. So I'll get started on that. And then oh yeah, the reason that I removed this transfer case, this is my own personal vehicle. There's a lot of chain slapping going on inside of it, and I also have a lot of bearing noise while I'm driving forward, and it's worse in reverse. Could be one of my differentials or rear end bearings, but seeing as though I did hear the chain slapping while I had it up in the air, we're just going to go ahead and take this apart anyway and see if it's worth buying a rebuild kit. This Amazon's got one for about $150, $160. Comes with the chain, bearings, seals. We'll see what kind of shape the oil pump is in, and if the anti-rattle clip is even still in it, or still where it's supposed to be. And so yeah, let me get all these bolts off of here, and then we'll see what's what. Okay, so we got all the bolts out. It actually looked more along the lines of the heads of the bolts were painted, and then of course moisture got underneath the paint, started eating away. As you can see, where are we looking? Right about in here, the bolt holes, or not the holes, but the surrounding area of the bolt started cavitating. Another thing that I failed to mention was, since I bought this truck, I've had it for about 5 years, I've always known it had a little bit of a transfer case leak. Apparently it's been a while since I've checked it. You know, the only time I use this truck is pulling the boat, or if it snows outside for the four-wheel drive. So yeah, apparently it was completely empty almost, which would contribute to the stretching of the chain. So let's go ahead and get the case split apart. And actually split, it already came apart fairly easy as soon as I pulled out that last bolt. So I'm gonna guess that somebody else has already had this apart, especially considering the lack of silicone sealant that was around the case. So yeah, let me get this thing pulled apart. Alright, so one of the things that I failed to mention, right in this area, there's a little rubber plug that fits in that hole right there. In order to separate the case, you basically have to get in there and separate that clip which then sits up into a little groove. You don't take it out completely, you just separate it or spread it and then set it up into that groove up there so that the bearing can slide out with the case. So now you know, as do I. Okay, so finally got the rear half of the case off. Because I'm doing this at home, you know, I don't have all my tools here. You know, I got basic stuff. But if you're going to be tackling this at home, one thing you're going to want to do for sure is, as you can see, the clip right here. You want to make sure that you get the right tool. So I pretty much had to use a couple of screwdrivers, pry them both ways, plant them in there. I did kind of sort of bend the one side a little bit, as you can see, maybe. But yeah, other than that, luckily for me, mostly, I think I'll have to see how much slack I got once I find out what the spec is supposed to be. But there isn't a whole, I mean, there's some right now because this one here moves, but not a whole lot of play once everything's tightened up. So I'm not really sure what I was hearing, but one of the bearings, as you can see right here on this bearing, that little piece is broken. It's supposed to look more so like this one, but that part's broken, and then I think there's another one on another bearing. Yeah, right there. And this bearing does feel a little tiny bit rough. And I don't know, who knows, maybe this here is what I was hearing. But I don't think the chain was sloppy enough to hit the case. So I don't see any marks on the case anywhere. Well, it all pretty much looks pretty good. Down here by the magnet, we got a lot of silicone and everything that was trying to clog up the pickup screen. So we'll take that apart and we're gonna dig into it, see what other bearings may or may not be bad. Yeah, other than that, it's actually in pretty good shape. Truck's got about 210,000 on it. And to get these gears off here in the pump, you can see there's this little clip right here, as well as this clip here. And those should come off fairly easy with just clip pliers. So yeah, we'll keep digging. Okay, so we got the main shaft out, laying right there. On the other side of it, we got, what is this? Clutch pack. We got this fork here that we got to remove this bush or bolt, as well as this bolt on both sides, and that will relieve or release these pins here so that we can pull this out. And from the looks of it, the shift fork that goes on to this shaft, or whatever it is, there's the little plastic bushings on it, and from the looks of it, those might be melted out a little bit, which would be my fault from running it dry. So we'll get all these out. These are looks like 250, 260 hex. So we'll get those out, get the rest of it out. The front shaft bearing, that one seems to be going pretty good. That one there, from what I've seen on other videos on transfer cases, not only is the seal a pain in the ass to get it out, but that clip that's in there is also not as easy. And here goes my magnet. As you can see, somebody did a really shitty job sealing it up the last time it was opened. So I'll get that cleaned up, get everything else cleaned up. Probably going to end up replacing the pump. And we'll go from there. Alright, so now we're down to basically the planetary gears and the sun gear and satellite view gears, all that crap. Alright, so this here is the shift fork. At least that's what they call it in transmissions. I don't know what I forget what term they would use in a transfer case. But anyway, those are the plastic bushings that press into the fork and then slide into this gear or shaft. As you can see, the gears look not horrible. Put some light on them. Yeah, they look pretty good. Spline gears look good. Gears inside here look pretty good. So now we're going to remove the planetary gears, sun gear, all that. As you can see, it's got another one of them clips holding it all in, and there goes another piece of the plastic bushing that's supposed to be on there. So yeah, if you know that your transfer case has a leak, even if you can't afford to get it fixed or don't feel like fixing it, at least keep fluid in it. You know, even if it keeps leaking out. Otherwise you'll be running into the same crap I am. Originally I was totally planning on just putting a reman transfer case in it, but it's springtime now. I live up in Wisconsin, by the way, and I don't really need my truck much this summer because other than hauling a trailer, you know, I got a plow truck for all that, and driving around I got a car. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, these bearings here look pretty good. We're going to check the bearings on the input side of the transfer case, and then we're going to go in the house and start ordering parts. And I might even order the cases. I think the rear half of the case I think I saw on Amazon for about $160. The front half of the case, which is this pipe piece right here, not the one with the tail housing on it, but I think it was somewhere around $200. So all in all, even, you know, putting a full rebuild kit in it, bearings, chain, bushings, everything, clips, and then replacing the two cases, seeing as though this one here is pretty cavitated, and it was a real pain in the ass getting this one out. This is the one that came through on the side. But yeah, that one there was, they're definitely T60s, and I had to do a whole lot of scraping and cleaning, a lot of a PB blaster, and then I had to pound the T60 bit into it and use an impact to pull it out. But yeah, as you can see, even this here is pretty cavitated, rotted, rusted, whatever you want to call it. And then the holes that they go into, not real pretty. You know, that's Wisconsin life for you with all the damn salt they put on the roads. Or who knows, maybe I'll just silicone the shit out of it. Make sure that, you know, at least obviously nothing gets inside of the case. But, you know, like I said, it's a 99 Suburban. It's got 100 or 210,000 on it, I believe. And I mean, I did a full rebuild on the engine with new heads. Replaced the torque converter on the transmission as well as the valve body. So yeah, we'll just throw it back together after, you know, buying the new parts. We'll just do the internals, seals, bearings, clips, all that good stuff, and make sure we got no leaks. Fill it up maybe before I don't know. Yeah, can't fill it up before I put it in, otherwise it'll all leak out of the tail shaft. So yeah, that's pretty much all your internals. There's your pump on the left there, that actuator fork or whatever the hell it's called, clutch fork, larger gears. I got a Mitchell on my computer in the house. I got all the blow up diagrams and part names of all the stuff, but you know, figured I'd just tear it apart and see how it is before I decide if I was going to buy a reman or rebuild. So yeah, there you go. Check on, like I said, check on the bearings, make sure that none of them are making any noise, because if they are, then I'm looking at a differential. Very possibly the front differential, because I know that one's been making some noise. But yeah, I mean, differential bearings are all pretty easy to do. So there you go. Now you know what the inside of a NP246 is. This one does have the electronic 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, 4-low actuator on it, encoder motor. Alright, so I ended up deciding to just strip it all down completely. As you can see, this here is the Sun and Planetary Gear. Seems to be doing alright, so those should still be good. I'll probably just leave that alone unless I'm feeling ambitious. Then I might pull this clip out and pop the cover off and make sure that there's nothing, you know, in there. The bearing on the ring gear, or not ring gear, on the input shaft side, that was feeling a little tiny bit rough. Not horrible, but I did feel a spot where it did feel like it was not riding as smooth as it should. So the kit that I'm getting, it's going to come with 3 bearings, and there's only 3 bearings in this thing. You got this one here, you got the one on the output shaft for the rear drive shaft, that's down in there somewhere, and you got the one for the output shaft on the front drive shaft. And I'm not positive, but it might come with this one here. It's got needle bearings, that's what holds the front shaft in place in the case. So yeah, I mean, the kit's going to come with everything. I might as well just replace it. That seal isn't as hard as the last transfer case I watched on YouTube. This one here is just pull out that little clip, the whole shaft comes out, and pop that out from the inside. Yeah, the kit's going to come with 3 bearings for sure. Not 100% sure about that one down there. It's going to come with a new chain. Not 100% sure what I want to do with the pump yet. It's a $70 part, even on Amazon. But it's just, you know, held closed with some Phillips screws. I just pop it open before I order anything and make sure that everything's clean and good inside. If it is, it's going back in. I'm not going to be too worried about it. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like I said, 210,000 miles. It's not in bad shape. And like I said, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than picking up a reman for $1,000. And everything else works on it except for one of the output speed sensors, which is those things right there. I think it was one of the rear, or I think one was the output speed sensor, yeah, an output shaft speed sensor. One was for the speedometer, and one's for the front output shaft speed sensor. So yeah, there you have it. Now you know what the inside of a 1999 NP246 looks like. And it really wasn't that bad to take apart. But if you've never taken, you know, an engine or a transmission apart, you're definitely going to want to take pictures or document or keep track of how everything goes in there, because there are a lot of clips. Let's see, there's 4 or 5 of them right there. And they even got one around the ring gear, but for some reason the ring gear is not coming out. They probably got it pressed in there. So yeah, just make sure that, remember where everything goes. And it's really simple. And then right around this surface here, you don't want to go nuts with the RTV, but you do want to make sure that you put enough on it so that it's not going to leak. Because I'm pretty sure that was my problem to begin with. I mean, I had a little bit leaking out of the rear drive shaft output seal, but not enough for it to go completely empty. So more than likely it seeped through their lack of gasket on here. And here is the one fork that I was talking about. And this could even be part of the problem of kind of noise I was hearing. Not sure. I might have to throw it all back together after I get the rebuild kit and take it on the road. I don't really see it being the front differential, because, well, then again it could have, because it got louder if I put it in 4-wheel drive. And I don't see anything in here that would cause a loud bearing noise. I mean, it sounded like a wheel bearing going bad, like really bad. And the sound never changed when I was turning around corners left or right. But it did get worse in 4-wheel drive. It got worse in, it was even louder in reverse. So there you go. And for anybody that wants to know how these things switch from 4 high to 4 low, on the gears here, This here basically sits in here, and then it has another, where'd it go? This one. This is the one that the shift fork sits on. If it's on the outside, it's going to be running at 1 speed, because you know it's kind of like a CVT transmission, only, well, not even, no it's not, never mind. But then once it gets on the inside, it's completely locked. That's going to give you your 4 high or 2 high, and when it's shift out here, it's running on the you know, planetary and the sun gear and the ring gear, and that's going to give you your 4 low. So when it's sitting all the way in, that's your 2 high, 4 high. When it's sitting on this gear, that's going to give you your 4 low. And then not sure where neutral is. It might be in the clutch, because this one here, if you hold down the 4 high and the 4 auto, you can shift the transfer case into neutral. So there you go. Any comments, go ahead and throw them down there. If I missed anything, if I was wrong about anything, go ahead and correct me. I'm learning just as anybody else might be.